Well, it's been about 3 weeks since launch. Well, it's close to it when I was like writing a script and recording all this thing. Well, before the feedback, here's some like Path of Exile 1 and 2 comparison from someone who experienced both casually. Yes, casually. Do mind you, I'm those kind of player who actually casually run Delve for fun. So for veteran who will always say they are still getting familiar with the game, you guys might know more or less like what kind of person I am. Alright, let's get into the point. Well, the game have this like philosophy on Path of Exile 2 being completely different compared to 1, obviously. They want the game to be difficult, slower pace, much more strategy, and as DBZ Abridged Pickle said,
So, Mr. Piccolo, what are you going to teach me today? A brand new technique? How to sense energy? What about how to fly?
Dodge!
Oh, man. This training with Mr. Piccolo is really difficult. But I think I'm finally getting the hang of it.
Dodge! Dodge!
Wow, I finally learned how to survive all by myself, live on my own, and surviving off the fat of the land. Mr. Piccolo will be so proud.
Gohan, I'll make a man out of you.
But I'm only 4.
Why didn't you dodge?
Wow, he really needs to learn how to dodge.
Yeah, I know. Still working on that.
Dodge, bitch! Get out the way! Get out the way, bitch! Get out the way! 19 dodge!
Beginning dodge protocol now.
Why are you starting a subroutine? It's not that complex!
What? What?
for me, the biggest difference until it's not is Path of Exile 2 is not as zippy as 1 until the end game. Seriously, until the end game. You know when you reach the end game. Well, we will get into that later on, but that is mainly my major turnoff for 1 actually. And also the reason why I don't play Warframe. It's too zippy. But yeah, Passive 3 are more straightforward, at least on the visual side of things. And the drops, the skill gem, how charge works, and those pseudo crafting system is actually pretty big difference. And I do admit most of the gameplay mechanic change that I personally like it more than Path of Exile 1. It feels like an upgrade for 1. And the campaign is actually pretty nice. They have a story. And of course, like the boss fight too. Yes, the boss fight, man, it is fun. If you don't have a all-powerful one-shot build, of course. Overall, I enjoy the game quite a lot. Even now, with a little bit like complaint feedback, but still, overall the game is nice. Well, that's it until the end game. Yes, onward to the feedback path. I like how you can choose your path where you want to go in the end game, but like everyone else complained, losing the map. Yes, that thing. For people who don't know nor aware why they phrase it like that, especially for those who first Path of Exile experience is actually on the 2, PoE 1, mob drop a specific map, and then on a specific location with modify on them, or of course you can modify them yourself, turn into rare, corrupt them, this and that, similar to how Waystone you guys are doing it right now. And then you feed it to a machine, multiple portal opens, and you go in, use up one of the portal. You die or get out, one portal is gone, and then you proceed to the second portal, and then continue the map until you ran out of portal. That is your fail state for that map. And then because you lose all the portal, you can't go back into it anymore. And that's how it works in like PoE 1. And PoE 2 works a little bit differently. You still get the portal back. It uses up one portal every single time you go back to the base, sell some stuff, maybe refill some of a flask, do some refund, change your build because it doesn't like gel with that particular map somehow, or you just felt like you're trying out build, you know, those kind of things. But if you die in that map, that is a dunzo. They hit your head so hard that you become amnesiac and you forgot the location, the loot, the mechanic, everything about that map. The entire node is just white clean state. And dev, I get the idea of like high risk, high reward, but if you want the game to be you want the game to be played more carefully. Yes, I understand that. But and also like plan around, solve and tackle all the problem issues they encounter. Play it smart, play it safe, and play it strategically, and you get a reward, satisfactions. That's how like I can see like how they wanted this thing to work. But here's the thing, there is way too much to lose. Let's see, why is it a lot of things to lose? All right, Waystone. They aren't dropping that often, especially at the beginning of like the map. So it's actually pretty valuable itself, the Waystone, especially on the higher tier. If you don't get the tier you want, you can actually use like the lower tier, 3 similar lower tier. It's like 3 1 tier. You go to the bench and then you can put them all together and then turn it into 2 second tier. You can do that. And if you don't, now you know more. And is it like magic or not rare? Then you have to like input currency, like turn it into magic item, improve the modifier, improve the drop rate, improve this and that, yeah, that stuff. You sunk in a lot of currency. It's a massive currency sink itself. So if you die, like from one surprise strike, or just that one surprise strike that kind of like one-shot you, or like any like bullshit modifier that simply you just can't see in the first place that kills you, and poof, everything's gone. All those currency, all those waystone that you're just trying to get, this and that, yeah, that stuff, you're just sunk into it, gone. Yeah, you lost not just that actually, you lost way more, but let us keep going on with some of the things that I really want to moving on to. That is on the bullshit modifier. Hot take, 11 out of 10 people agree that some of all on death effect is simply bullshit. I get the haha funny troll sometimes, like in that particular Scorpion, but it is not funny in mapping with so much to lose. Like if you might remove that purple shit on the ground, but honestly, that one is just the hardest to see among all of death effect. Doesn't mean the rest is easier to see either. Imagine like you have like all those like corpses and like maybe like effect that you set up on the ground, all those things, and sometimes the map has some modifier to have like burning ground, chill ground, something ground, and that on death effect is similar to those elements. You can't actually see those things, and then poof, you're gone, and then you lost the entire map. It is really kind of like you get the idea. And let's make it simple, like anyone who used like lightning rod and galvanic shot combo, which I am using it, I can't see jack shit most of the time. Like all those lightning bursts happening here and there, and then imagine like some other mob is also like doing lightning like you know, like a lot of lightning skill, this and that, yeah, that stuff. There's so much things on the map, you can't actually see anything in the chaos. Sometimes there are some mob almost literally identical textures color with the terrain, or some of the skill effect is just literally the same. It's like really hard to see already with all those effects running through. You just can't see it. Some texture issues is like one of the issues too. And skill issue, my ass. I know what you guys are muttering right now, so I haven't even talked about the breach yet. So you people want to type that kind of shit, sit down first, okay? There's so many things that can cause all those things. Yes, one of this thing is you didn't take a good look on enemy thing, this and that, yeah, this stuff. Sometimes you just didn't notice when everything is happening. The game is supposed to be slow and methodically, and then you open up a breach, and then shit tons of things come out. You don't even see anything happening. You just suddenly die. You don't know what just happened. Sometimes you don't even know there's on death effect on some of a creep because you just haven't seen them. You already start whacking them. But in some situations, you don't really have any like chance to go and take a look every single magic mob. That's the thing. There's no indicator they have a on death like effect on them. If it's like a skill they have that is on death effect, you recognize the mob and then you can void them. But sometimes when it added modifier on magic mob or any rare mob, you just won't notice it until you suddenly kill them and then they just boom in your face. One more thing about like death effect, like here's the thing. Death, you have to pay attention to this one. Anyone who buy the death effect cosmetic is literally punishing for having it too. It's literally pay to lose at this point. Pay to lose more map. Because imagine like if you kill a rare monster that has some certain death effect, you sometimes won't even notice that mob like finish their on death effect thing because it's just a little bit too fancy sometimes. So you just walk up to that and then suddenly you die. Happens to me a few times. So I turn off that on death effect thing. I feel like I got scammed somehow. And yeah, I haven't even touched losing the mechanic stuff too. And yeah, back to the main thing. If you die, you lose your waystone, you lose your currency that you invest into the waystone, you lost the map, which sometimes contain valuable loot. Trust me, there will be time that you have to choose to pick that shit up in the middle of a swarm, or to deal with the swarm first. 50% chance of your choice that you will still end up dead and losing the map, and sometimes even losing loot too, because you haven't even picked that shit up and then you die. Because you will choose to deal with the swarm first, and then some bullshit happen, you die, you lose everything. You can't really, and you can't even try to get revenge from it because you can't go back. And that is like the losing mechanic stuff. Okay, if you do not aware, the phrase mechanic in Powerful Exile is basically like special event or like modifier happening on the map. And it's like boss fight, expedition, delirium, breach, and the rest of the stuff. And I bet like 70% of viewers who watch this and play Powerful Exile 2 at least experience 1 to 3 times dying and losing the entire map before even encountering one mechanic that was in that map. Got frustrated, exit the game, play around on Marvel Rival or some gacha game, and then come back to suffer the same fate again. This sounds like a rant, but I assure you that this is the feedback. So I will start explaining a little bit on very clearly on how this map losing punishment is too much, okay, and how to fix it. Well, technically I already explained it, so I would just talk about how to fix it. Okay, I get it. I get the idea, Dev. So here's some solutions to align like your philosophy. Okay, you either make the on-death effect indicator more visible on the get-go, like some indicator on your head, like, you know, like when like Sekiro, like when like something has happened, like they want to attack you and they ding, and then you know that some shit is going to happen. So you can either preemptively roll or this something like that. Like those kind of indicator on top of the head. Or on the mob, it really like visibly show they are going to boom when they die. Else it's going to be very difficult to see sometimes. Like even that, it might still a little bit in chaotic matter. You still can't really see it clearly. But that one really is skill issue at that point. And or just flat out remove all the on-death effect skill set. Like make the explosion condition consistent too. Because like sometimes some mob, they have like on-death skill. If they die, they boot, they explode or something like that. But sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Really, it's a little bit inconsistent. I know some of the mob actually they will explode. Depends on the condition they were in, like some skill they were using or some certain type of element hit them to cause them explode. But it's better to make like the explosion consistent so people know, oh, this mob will explode, this mob will not explode. Not like, oh, this mob sometime explodes, sometimes they don't explode. That would be a little bit weird. So, yeah. And as for losing map, I let you guys choose. Bring back not losing the map until the portals run out, but you lose all the loot once you die. Like the map loot will just clear when you die. Just give people at least that choice. Or another one, if you haven't participated that particular mechanic and then you die and lose that waystone, you can just lose that waystone. You don't clear off the mechanic if you haven't participated or like, you know, like trigger the mechanic and stuff. Like if you see the expeditions, you try to clear up like the surrounding mob first. You still haven't placed the bomb, you still haven't triggered the bomb, and then somehow when you try to like clear up like the surrounding mob, you somehow die. Since you haven't touched the expeditions, you can go back and find the expedition again. Like something like that. Or you can find like a better way to deal with the loss that people are having. Like maybe let people reset the map, reset the node and stuff. Or maybe I didn't know like resetting node, like map node is a thing yet for me yet. I haven't encountered anything. Maybe there's a way I didn't know yet. Or sometimes you can have like a one-time charm, like a one-time charm. You can equip that one-time charm, and if you die, you prevent that map losing. Maybe you still lose the waystone, but you prevent the mechanic losing sometimes. Like or make it like one-time map, something like a mechanic, like expedition and stuff. Like you get like a higher modifier, or like or make it like a map mechanic that you get more loot drop, but if you die, you lose everything. You lose the map, you lose the mechanic. Make it punishment like much more sensible, much more logical, you know, much more mechanical. Don't just retroactively apply to all map, just like on some specific map or like some map modifier that just add 100% magic fine. If you have like that modifier in, but if you die, you lose everything. It's like a gamble waystone that you can use for it. Not actual gamble, I mean like, you know, high risk, high reward thingy like going on. And that will be like the mapping things. And here's like the second bone to pick with like Path of Exile 2, and which is also relate to the endgame mapping in a way. The party co-op system in the endgame, I would call it broken or completely useless. The map is harder, there's no party synergy in the game in general, you can't revive your party member, the loot is messed, what's the point? Back in Path of Exile 1, the game is too zippy. In the end, like especially in the end game, even try to like do a party, you maybe like there was just like one friend that when you start the party already, he already at the end of the map, and then you're just starting to walk past half the map. That things happen so many times in like party in like PoE 1 is actually quite annoying. Only boss fight party kind of works. Even that is still kind of like you know, you get the idea. So PoE 2, the pacing of the game and like even like just mapping itself, not even like specific boss fight, is already actually pretty fun. The pacing is just perfect for party play with friends. But there's literally no incentive to play as a party. Because you die once, you lose all the map thing is still there. So even you go to a party, you make the map harder, and you go to play with your friends, you die, you lose, you can't go back in. So what's the point? And especially for the build that relies on charge to work, like Monk or like some other class that have like certain condition to get a charge, like when everyone is shooting the same mob or trying to do like fighting together, like it's literally nerfing the class that any class that required charge to able to function properly. Especially when the build is completely relies on the charge. It's like any class with faster attack speed, or the one that literally have like add on like culling strike stuff into it. So they all are getting last hit. So you can't get power charge on kill because most power charge, like almost all charge, have a certain condition to do it. For endurance, you have to break armored. For frenzy, you have to like do the immobilize skill, like electrocute, pin, or something like that, or freeze. All those things to get the charge. And then as for power charge, you have to kill to get it. Like, so imagine like all this thing like requires some certain conditions, and then all those conditions before it achieved, the mod died. Yeah. Because everyone are kind of like focus fire on some things, or like they just like there are class that literally just have like auto attack this the surrounding area when they like some sort of things happen. Yeah, that kind of things can happen. Like especially people with Herald build, they have to kill people with freeze or like people with shock condition. Sometimes you can't even shock them and then they all died. Or when you shock them but you didn't get a last hit, so your Herald skill never triggered, that become a problem. So it's basically like most of the build when you go to a party is kind of like literally got break that you can't really use it. It's not practical to use it anymore. And yeah, and some of the passive for like party benefit is weirdly just for party. It's like it only triggers when you have party in sight. You have like ally inside, so it kind of forces you to either to build a build that have like minions or build a certain build that have like totem. So it kind of like force you to need to have some skill added in to actually have it work. But if your build doesn't build for that, like it's like for solo that you don't really want like a totem build into it or any like a minion skill build into it, and it doesn't trigger if you do that, it's weird. And if you build for the parties, like if like here's the thing, like if you try to do that, then you will set up like a complete just only for party build, and then you kind of like stuck being party comp forever because you literally are only be able to get a buff even to yourself when party member is inside or ally is inside, which is makes yourself like completely useless solo. You really have to call a friend or a rando join your party to actually make your build work. And that is weird in some sense. It's like, unless you are super rich, you can just respect every single time you are in a party. Then you're fine, maybe. Or you are just witch hunter, you got like extra like weapon skill set that your second weapon is for party, your first weapon is for like solo. It's still a big investment. So there's literally no point. And worst thing is, like I say again, at first, I thought, because how the map is so punishing, I think it's incentivized you to play with your party friends, and that if you die, they can revive you on the spot on the map, so it doesn't have too much lost. No, you can't revive party member on late game mapping. You can do that in campaign, but you can't do that in mapping. And what's the point having that system? It's literally no point. The punishment for party play like would need like should be like the party that basically you guys should like separate the punishment for people who play in party and people who play solo. Like this like unable to revive people mechanic is a little bit like extra out of the way for some reasons. It's weird decisions in some sense. And I still maybe like you shouldn't just like not let them revive. At least let them revive once or twice, or maybe like 3 strike you out. Like something like that. Like the longer, the more you die, the longer time you have to be revived, which makes like in the midst of battle situation, they become like much more worse. You know, you can't revive. Like if you down a member, then you down a member, and then the map is like super hard, and then like you can either risk or like run away, or like play strategically, or just like do something that somehow revive your party member, something like that. That way, it makes the games actually much more like fun, makes it much more exciting. Like, oh shit, one of my friends down. I need to revive him fast, like something like that. At least try something. At least try something for the party. So far, the party style is just bare bone. Not just bare bone, also it's literally something extra that never pay any attention to it. And I'm not saying like it's not fair, or like not saying like it's like bullshit or something. It's some things that since it's early access, I feel like this thing have a very huge potential to just party and play together with friends, and party and play together with rando, and make it much more benefit that when you party you can do it, not just like getting better loot, it's like I still strongly suggested, like speaking about loot, I still strongly suggested that we need a better party looting system too. I'm not saying again like make it fair. I say like just like the fact like the party looting system is overall janky. Path of, like, here's the thing, like Path of Exile 1, that's true. Nobody are actively party play in Path of Exile 1 after the campaign. Like, seriously, that is why there's no one complain. Even those who already, you know, those who does already accept that it's a fact. Like, there's so little people are playing mapping in party. Like, even they complain, it's just like the minority voice that nobody actually cares. But now, we can actually have a better party system in PoE 2. You guys should pay attention to that. And yes, that'll be all. And wish you guys a good luck. Kirivaku, signing out.